MC1, what about my man Superman? Yo, pass me some of that ceremonial dietary fry bread. You know that traditional food we like to eat before we get down. Let's go. On a scale of 1 to 10, we about 11. Representing heaven, run the game like N7. This is not a Superman MC1 event. Instead, it's Marcus Anthony Quinn and Clark Kent. On to the next, perplexed by the last one. Don't want to help our race, we want to pass them. Yeah, I've asked them on the real, it's ill. Knowing more about Lil Wayne than Billy Mills. We came too far to settle until things are level. Cut the string, coach your pedal. Why is there a link from the res to the ghetto? Holding on to people and the things that we should let go. Yeah, pause for the echo. We came too far to stop now. Let's go. Let's go. We came too far to stop now. Let's go. We came too far to go back now. We came too far to go back now. We came too far to go back now. We came too far. I'm like a diabetic snacking on glazed pecans. Broke as a joke, but still got great coupons. Tech savvy, using Groupon. Food stamps paying for filet mignon. Oh yeah, we're kinda short of these. The majority of the storyline with us minorities. No job, but I got an HD television. Not to mention, got them fly kicks, fella. Set up fresh wheels on the ride at home. Couple of payments past due. I got that new iPhone. Yeah, that's wrong, but I meant it. If I do get a check, it's gone before we get it. I get it. We've been trained to be so pathetic, but to settle for less than the best man, forget it. Woo! Is that right? We came too far to go back now. Came too far to go back now. Came too far to go back now. Came too far.
Hey yo.
To go back.
Hey yo, please to show me Shimmer or Mariah Watchman. I'm like Kenny Dobbs in the middle of the cypher dropping. Piping hot and we came too far, son. Super MC1 still spray these balls, son. Trying to make an impact, we flip that, so get back. Coming from the underground, homie, where you get slapped. With a little bit of knowledge, we make babies first and then go to college. Make it hard on ourselves cause nobody taught us. But you still couldn't walk a mile of my Marcus. Sins are washed away. It chick washed day, yo, it's a new day. Hey, give it away, give it away, give it away now. No sex, baby, don't give it away now. Give it away, give it away, give it away now. You could do it, youngin', but they still say how.
We came too far to go back now. Came too far to go back now. Came too far to go back now. Came too far to go back now.
You see, when you get to that point, no return. That's when you gotta dig a little deeper. More than you had before in the past, because this is the moment of truth in your life. Go forward, young soldier. Go forward, young man, young woman. Do not look back at your past, because there's nothing waiting for you there. Let's take up an offering. There's about 10 people who can give $10,000 right now. world across the block. Kaheb, Belajah, where I get my chala. Who reporting live from the universe? It's the First Nations MC. You could do the search. Who been through the worst? Surviving genocide, fighting for a better life. They try to set aside the true history and keep us mystical. They say they founded this country on biblical principles. It's so cynical, but I'm an analyst. It's murderous. They refer to us as merciless. Indian savages. Now that's written in the Declaration of Independence. That's no kidding. Hey, open up your heart and let love lead the way. Light your path with the words that I speak today. Let the lessons flow, arrive and bless your soul. Systematic racism alive, intentional. Know better, do better, it's the motto. It's the good medicine, the hard pill to swallow. Know better, do better, it's the motto. It's the good medicine, the hard pill to swallow.
His daily life was filled with ceremony, and every act had some significance. The Indians believed in the spiritual, the mysterious.
Hey, Shalom, Israel, Shalom. First, giving all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh by Hashem, Hamashem, like I was shy. And my name is Ariyah.
Azawan.
Hey, and I know you see the name of the lesson, man. It's Thanksgiving origins, the same as you learned. Because we know in school, they kind of told us it was a peaceful gathering. Tazawan.
Right.
They kind of told us that everybody sat at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of everybody was eating together.
Yep.
Kind of like it was a happy-go-lucky fun time, man. But then as we continue to read and continue to research, we find out that everything ain't what it seems. Kind of like you got kind of some people kind of taking people land, kind of got some people kind of killing people.
Right.
You got kind of some people kind of taking everything that the other people worked hard for,
Right.
but yet they discovered it. Right? So, hey, without further ado, man, hey, first we always got to get some scriptures involved, man. Right? So, without further ado, man, we're gonna bring some scriptures out, man. Right? It's Nahum, man.
Yeah, I'm ready to.
You already know, bro. Let me get it up on the screen, man. Nahum, I think it's chapter 2.
Okay.
Right? Real quick, let me get a online Bible.
3.
Is it?
Woe to the bloody city.
No, it's 2. It says so many bodies. It might be right. You might be right because it says so many bodies. But you can start there though. At verse 1. Let me get there real quick, right? Because people don't realize that the Bible literally told us everything that is going on right now, right? So, let me just make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see that text. And then let me share the screen. Salaki Israel. Oh no. Salaki Israel. Got too happy, man. Got too happy, man. Oh, that's definitely not the one. Here we go. Salaki Israel. Have patience on your brother. Back. This time I'm not gonna hit the X. Make sure I'm sharing the screen. All right, we back, Israel. Go ahead, King, you got it.
Book of Nahum, chapter 3, and verse 1. Woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery.
So we know this bloody city will be America, right? It said it's all full of lies and robbery. Why? Because they raped, robbed, and murdered the Native Americans, right? They said they discovered this land, but yet as we go into the history, you're gonna find out that if somebody's already someplace, how can you discover it? How can you discover somebody if somebody already was there, right? But go ahead, King,
The prey departeth not,
right?
the noise of a whip, and the noise of the rattling of the wheels,
Right,
and of the prancing horses,
right,
and of the jumping
Chariots.
chariots.
right.
Sorry.
Hey, because hey, you all right, bro? Hey, it's the jumping chariots and the prancing horses and the whips, right? And it said the prey departeth not in verse 1. So that means the Native Americans couldn't go nowhere. They were stuck here. But why wouldn't you be stuck in a place where you're home? But go ahead, King.
Verse 3. The horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear,
Mm.
and there is a multitude of slain,
He said there's a multitude of slain. Go ahead, King.
and a great number of carcasses,
A great no, it didn't even give a number. It said a great number of carcasses. Go ahead, King.
and there is none end of their corpses.
He said there's no end of their course. What?
They stumble upon their corpses.
I mean, it was so many people that died of the Native Americans, whether you go the Trail of Tears, whether you go this situation, whether you go the many wars, because there was many wars. It wasn't just the war over here that we're gonna find out, but there was also the war when the French tried to take over Florida, right? When they forced them to Trail of Tears, and then even when they got over there, they still were killing them. They killed the buffaloes. We're gonna just show you some glimpses of the things, right? Even though that's not part of this lesson, we're just gonna give you a glimpse of that because we read that part where it says, "And there is none in."
It says, the horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear,
Mm.
and there is a multitude of slain,
A multitude of slain. Go ahead.
and a great number of corpses.
It said a multitude of slain and a great number of corpses. Go ahead.
And there is none end of their
He
corpses.
said, "Ain't none in." Just imagine that smell, brother. Just imagine the smell of the Native Americans. When you got the children and the old women had to walk all the way from the east coast of America to the plain states in Kansas, in Iowa, in Oklahoma, in Texas. They had to walk. And it was in the wintertime. If you look it up when they had to leave, it was in the wintertime. So they had to go across the West Virginia mountains, the Appalachians. You're talking about elderly that was so old they could barely walk, but they had to walk across to get there, man. Go ahead, King.
They stumble upon their corpses
They stumbled upon their corpses. Go ahead.
because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot,
Because the whoredoms of that well-favored harlot did what?
the mistress of witchcraft,
Because they was wicked. They did all kind of things. Go ahead.
that selleth nations through her whoredom.
Because she sold many nations, right? She sold the Native Americans, the Middle Americans, the South Americans, then also the so-called blacks sold them as well. And what else?
And families through her witchcraft.
And sold families through her witchcrafts, right? So so we're gonna end it right there, man. Because we definitely would like to always get scriptures when we can, man. Right? So without further ado, we're gonna bring out this book right here. Start off with Elder Book, man. I just want to hold it up for y'all. Right? This is Holiday Hustle by Frank Jordan, right? And it's gonna get into some of these things, man. Right? So go ahead, King.
Thanksgiving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Con. It says, the real story of Thanksgiving, right? And it says, the only Native American Indians who attended the Pilgrims' Thanksgiving in 1637 were those Peacock, taken captive during a very violent raid that preceded it
Mm-hmm.
on May 26, 1637. At least 700 of the tribes estimating 8,000 members, were slaughtered by Caucasian English settlers from 4 colonies and their native allies. This became known as the Pequot Massacre.
Right? So we're gonna get into that, right? We're gonna get into that, man. We'll really get into that Peacock Massacre. Right? And for all those that don't think that the so-called Native Americans, we say so-called because that's not their actual, nationality, isn't our people. Look at this. Indian land for sale. Get a home of your own. Easy payments. Perfect title. Possession with 30 days. Fine lands in the West. Irrigated, irrigable, grazing, agricultural, dry farming, right? Right? Let me make this bigger so that way everybody can see it on the screen, right? Right? It says the real story of Thanksgiving by Susan Bates. That most of us associate the holiday with happy pilgrims and Indians sitting down to a big feast, and that did happen once. So it happened once, right? It says the story began in 1614 when a band of English explorers sailed home to England with a ship full of Patuxet Indians bound for slavery. So, right here is showing you that the Native Americans also went into captivity, right? Says they left behind smallpox, which virtually wiped out those who had escaped. By the time the Pilgrims arrived in Massachusetts Bay, they found only one living Patuxet Indian, a man named Squanto, who had survived slavery in England and knew their language. He taught them to grow corn and to fish, and negotiated a peace treaty between the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag Nation. At the end of the first year, the Pilgrims had a great feast honoring Squanto and the Wampanoags. But as word spread in England about the paradise to be found in the New World, religious zealots called Puritans began arriving by the boatload, finding no fences around the land. They considered it to be in the public domain. Joined by their British settlers, they seized land, capturing strong, wise natives for slaves and killing the rest. So this is letting you understand through the scriptures, right? So let's go to Deuteronomy real quick. Deuteronomy 28, right? Because we're going to find out that through the curses, right, that, the Native Americans definitely, fit the curses of Deuteronomy.
Absolutely.
Right? And it goes Deuteronomy 28, and we're gonna go we can go 25 and 26 to start off. And then we're gonna get a little bit deeper, right? Because it said they came over, man.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall pray them away.
Right, because that goes back to that Nahum, right? That they said there was so many carcasses, right? You stumbling and falling on them. You think that they actually gave the Native Americans a proper burial?
Absolutely.
You think they stopped, said, okay, there's thousands and thousands of dead natives. We're going to go ahead and get a headstone for Matazawan. We're going to kind of brush it off, kind of make sure it's 6 feet deep, kind of make sure it's perfectly squared or rectangular, and lay every one of them thousands and thousands in the proper place in the wintertime. Or did they say to hell with them? We're going to let the carcasses kind of get eaten by the dead birds, by the fowls of the air. Right. Drop down to verse 49.
49.
What's this?
Verse 49, and it reads, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth.
Right?
a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
A child, the tongue they shall not understand. Go one more.
Verse 50, a nation of fierce continence,
Right?
which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
Hey, and we're gonna find out they didn't show favor to the young.
Mm-mm.
Cause when they slaughtered it, hey, when they did the and I know this isn't part of the lesson, but when they did the Trail of Tears, you think they said, oh well, if you're not at least 10 years old and if you're past the age of 60, we're gonna let you stay peacefully over here, and as long as you have strength, you gotta go. Or did you think they said all y'all gotta go? I don't give a damn your health situation or what.
They don't care about none of that.
They ain't care about none of that, King. Right? So we're gonna go back over here and get to the peacock, man. Right? Right? It says because they capture strong young natives for slaves and killing the rest. So kind of don't sound like to me like they had a regard of the old or the young. And if you look at this picture, right? It's like that's the New York area, man. Peacock actually had the New York area.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It says in 1637, it says near present-day Groton, Connecticut, over 700 men, women, and children of the Peacock tribe had gathered for their annual Green Corn Festival, which is our Thanksgiving celebration. In the pre-dawn hours, and honestly, about that time, if you think about it, that would be that time of harvest, right? That would be our I won't say Pentecost, but that would be like right around after Tabernacle, because that would be right around that time. Right. We would actually be our festival of gathering for our annual, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a law that you should not be eating green corn, because we knew that it wasn't all the way mature. Right. You have to let it wait, mature, and then you can eat it. Right? Matter of fact, I could prove it, right? Because it's crazy how they were so in tune with the law, man. Leviticus 23 and 14 real quick. I just want to bring this up because I just want to show people how in tune that the Native Americans were actually, the so-called Native Americans were actually with the law. Real quick, let me get there real quick for everybody to see. Leviticus 23 and 14 real quick. In the spirit. Because they knew the law, man. Right? Go ahead, King.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 14. Ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn.
Right?
Nor green ears.
Nor green what?
Nor green ears.
Right?
Until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings.
See, they knew about the law, bro. So that's why when we going over here to the Peacock, right? What did it say? The annual Green Corn Festival. Why would they have an annual Green Corn Festival? Mm-hmm. They knew the law, man. They knew the law. Right? It says in 1637, it says Groton, Connecticut, over 700 men, women, and children, right? Because they understood the law. That was at the time of tabernacles, right. And every man, woman, and child had to report to the Most High. And it says the children of the Peacock tribe had gathered for their annual Green Corn Festival, which is our Thanksgiving celebration. In the pre-dawn hours, the sleeping Indians were surrounded by English and Dutch mercenaries who ordered them to come outside. Mercenaries, come on, man. Those who came out were shot or clubbed to death while, come on, man. Dang. While the terrified women and children who huddled inside the longhouse were burned alive, man. Come on, man. So but it happened so long ago. Right? It happened so long ago, man. Right? It says, the next day, the governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony declared a day of Thanksgiving because 700 unarmed men, women, and children had been murdered. So they literally were celebrating a day that they destroyed, raped, robbed, and murdered the natives, man. Right? And it's crazy because guess why? It's crazy because of the fact that even though that happened, right? They literally man, called it a great day, man. Let me get back to it, right? It says cheered by their victory, the brave colonists and their Indian allies attacked village after village. Women and children over 14 were sold into slavery while the rest were murdered. So did it kind of seem like they regarded the men or women of old or the children? It says boatloads with as many as 500 slaves regularly, I repeat, regularly left the ports of New England. Bounties were paid for Indian scalps to encourage as many deaths as possible. So when they're talking about the Indians were scalping, no, they were scalping. So the Indians only learned it from their oppressors. So when they were scalping, they literally were scalping because of their oppressors, man. Right? Real quick, watch this, man. This is crazy, bro. This is crazy, man. I gotta do it this way. I forgot. I got the bottom half. So it says, following an especially successful raid against the Pequot in what is now Stamford, Connecticut, the churches announced a second day of Thanksgiving. So the churches, you church facilities that you guys thinking that you're worshiping God in those places, it said the churches announced a second day of Thanksgiving. So the churches not only have one day of Thanksgiving, so now you went your Thursday and your Friday. Now they're celebrating, brother, the rape, rob, and murder of the indigenous people of this land. Right? It says to celebrate victory over the heathen savages. They call them. Look, let me ask you a question. Brother. If somebody is already living in a place, right? And I get it, they call them savages because they actually attacked the Puritans and attacked the what did they call them? The Pilgrims. Right. I get it, but what would you do if a nation of people came over and started attacking your family, started killing your family, and gave your family diseases that just continually wiped large portions of your population out? Would you not protect your own? Or would you say, okay, it's a fine. You killed my family. You raped, robbed, and murdered my children. It's okay. Tazawam, it's okay. I'm gonna be all right. Just go ahead and continue to kill my people.
No, I can't stand for that.
So who is calling who a savage?
Right.
Watch this. It says, during the feasting, the hacked off heads of natives were kicked through the streets like soccer balls.
Oh, my God.
Even the friendly Wampanoag did not escape the madness. Their chief was beheaded and his head impaled on a pole in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where it remained on display for 24 years.
They had that man's head.
Well, just imagine what his head smelled like. 24 years.
And we supposed to be bygones with these people. We supposed to hand in hand with them. And after they do this to us, our people.
Watch this. It said the killings became more and more frenzied, with days of Thanksgiving feasts being held after each successful massacre. So they literally were feasting every time they would massacre another tribe. They would massacre another nation of people. Guess what? They did another Thanksgiving feast. And our people don't understand what they're actually keeping when they're keeping these days.
That's right, King.
Watch this. George Washington finally suggested that only one day of Thanksgiving per year be set aside instead of celebrating each and every massacre. Now, and all you beloved so-called blacks that said, oh, well, beloved Lincoln, he freed the slaves. Well, let's see. Lincoln later, Abraham Lincoln decreed Thanksgiving Day to be a legal national holiday during the Civil War. As if you thought that he was your friendly neighborhood black lover. Do your research. Abraham Lincoln had slaves too.
Right.
Right? It says on the same day he ordered troops to march against the starving Sioux in Minnesota. So not only is he killing, killing people, in the Civil War, because you got to understand what the Civil War really was for, not to go far off, but the Civil War was really for not the freedom of slaves, but the fact that the northern states were mad because they were like all these uneducated so-called white people were actually reaping benefits, not going to school, not getting education, not using their mind to mass produce their money, but they actually just were putting other nations to slavery and reaping the benefits of it. So in their eyes, they were like, well, how is the hell they're richer than us, but they're uneducated. All they know how to do is keep crops and put people to work.
Right.
So the northern states were like, well, look, I guarantee you, if they didn't have free labor, they wouldn't be as successful as we are. And that's exactly what happened. Because once they took the slavery from them and they had to actually use their mind to bring their money up, they couldn't do it. But by that time, they had amassed such a wealth that they didn't have to do it, because now they could actually invest their money. And that's what it was. But he said he ordered troops to march against the starving Sioux in Minnesota. This story doesn't have quite the same fuzzy feelings associated with it as the one where the Indians and Pilgrims are all sitting down together in the big feast. But we need to learn our true history so it won't ever be repeated. Next Thanksgiving, when you gather with your loved ones to thank God for all your blessings, think about those people who only wanted to live their lives and raise their families. They also took time out to say thank you to the Creator for all their blessings. So we wanted to bring that up, man. So go ahead, read a little bit more of Elder.
Says bloodshed was the most consistent theme of the first Thanksgiving in the New World.
Right.
In English, privateer.
Where is it?
Oh, right here. Privateer.
Right. Yeah, privateer.
Privateer, name of John Winthrop.
Right, and a privateer would be somebody that actually kind of knew the land, kind of knew the people. So he kind of like went going on his like single expeditions with like the people that spoke with him, so it didn't look more as threatening. Because if it's like 100 of us going to an Indian nation, then hey, it look more threatening. But if you actually only got just one person, which is a privateer with one Native American, then it wouldn't look as threatening, right? Go ahead, King.
Was killed by allies of the Peacock in retailer station. The station right here.
Yep. Retaliation,
Slocky, for an attack that killed the Peacock chief.
Right. So hey, they were only retaliating because you killed our chief. You killed our leader. Well, we supposed to just be like, all right, we are good with it. You just killed our. That's just like somebody coming to America and killing the president. You know that's not gonna fly with the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force. No, they're gonna be like, no, we're gonna retaliate. Right. But keep going.
Tattoo Bim and a misguided counterattack. Two colonial officers led several hundred men to a Peacock settlement, which would be known today as
Connecticut. Yeah.
Connecticut.
Right. So that place where the Peacocks were, that's your now state Connecticut. But it really was the Native American Peacock area. Right, go ahead.
And order them to burn hundreds of huts, housing some 800 through 1,000 Peacock Indians, shooting or stabbing those that fled the fire.
So, hey, the ones that didn't get burned up in their homes, right, they stabbed and shot them. Right? And it said, what, 800 to hundreds? It said hundreds of huts. That's madness, man, but keep going.
Those who survived the attacks were sold into slavery.
Hey, so I don't know whether you want to live or die. If you live, You got sold off to slavery. Go ahead, King.
And with hundreds, if not thousands, of Pequot slaughtered and murdered, the Gov. Bradford
Right.
deemed it appropriate to call for Thanksgiving to celebrate their victory.
And so they were celebrating their victories, man. Right? That's crazy, man. Right? So I'm gonna go to YouTube and I'm gonna get a quick video. Real quick. This.
A quiet village engulfed in flames, screams piercing the night, and a massacre so brutal it shaped the dark foundation of a nation. Welcome to Evil Walks Amongst Us, where today we uncover the Pequot Massacre of 1637, a forgotten colonial atrocity that left hundreds dead and history stained with blood. In the early 17th century, the New World was a battleground of survival and ambition. The Pequot tribe, a powerful and proud Native American group in what is now Connecticut, had established themselves as skilled traders and warriors, controlling key territories along the Mystic River. Their strength made them both respected and feared by neighboring tribes and the newly arrived English colonists. These colonists, driven by a mix of religious zeal and economic greed, sought to expand their settlements and secure valuable trade routes, particularly in beaver pelts, which were highly prized by European traders. The arrival of English colonists in the 1630s, however, brought an influx of settlers eager to claim land and establish permanent settlements. These colonists, driven by a mix of Puritan religious fervor and economic opportunism, viewed the Pequot as both a trading partner and a potential threat. Tensions brewed over disputed territories and trade disputes, with minor skirmishes erupting sporadically. The breaking point came in 1636, when a colonial trader, John Oldham, was found murdered on a trading vessel. Though the evidence was inconclusive, the English quickly pointed fingers at the Pequot, using the incident as a pretext to escalate hostilities. This led to a series of retaliatory raids, with both sides suffering losses, and set the stage for a violent confrontation that would leave an indelible mark on the region. The colonists, under the command of Captain John Mason, a military leader with a reputation for unyielding resolve, began devising a plan to deliver a crushing blow to the Pequot, aiming to eliminate their resistance once and for all. On the night of May 26, 1637, under the cover of a moonless sky, colonial forces consisting of approximately 90 Englishmen and 200 Native American allies from the Narragansett and Mohegan tribes moved silently toward the Pequot village near the Mystic River. The village was a close-knit community, home to families who had gathered for a traditional celebration, unaware of the impending doom. The attackers, guided by local allies familiar with the terrain, surrounded the settlement, cutting off all escape routes with meticulous precision. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, the colonists unleashed their plan, setting fire to the wooden wigwams and longhouses with torches and gunfire. The flames spread with terrifying speed, turning the village into a roaring inferno. Panic erupted as Pequot warriors scrambled to defend their homes, only to be met with relentless volleys of musket fire from the well-armed English. The colonial forces and their allies stormed the burning village, showing no mercy. Men were shot or stabbed as they emerged from the flames, while women and children were either burned alive inside their homes or cut down with swords and axes as they fled. The air was thick with the stench of burning flesh and the sounds of anguished cries, creating a scene of unimaginable horror. Estimates of the death toll vary widely due to the chaos and lack of accurate records, but historians suggest between 400 and 700 Pequot perished that day, including non-combatants who had no chance to escape. Survivors were dragged from the wreckage, with some executed on the spot, others taken as prisoners, and many sold into slavery in the West Indies or given to the Narragansett and Mohegan as spoils of war. The attack was so savage that even some of the Native American allies who had joined the assault expecting a standard battle were reportedly shocked and protested the slaughter of women and children, with one account noting their dismay at the English disregard for tribal customs of warfare. The aftermath of the massacre was a turning point that reshaped the colonial landscape. The Pequot, once a dominant force in the region, were decimated, their power broken in a single night. In the weeks that followed, surviving members were hunted down by colonial militias and their allies, with many forced into hiding or enslaved. The English declared a decisive victory, using the massacre to justify further expansion into Pequot lands, which were quickly resettled by colonists and renamed to erase the tribe's presence. The event also had a profound ripple effect, emboldening the English to adopt more aggressive policies against other Native American groups, leading to a series of conflicts that defined the colonial era. The survivors who were not killed or enslaved were absorbed into other tribes under strict oversight, their cultural identity suppressed. Historians continue to debate the nature of the event, with some labeling it an early act of genocide, due to its intent to eradicate the Pequot as a people, while others argue it was a brutal but typical outcome of colonial warfare driven by economic and territorial motives. The massacre faded from mainstream historical narratives, overshadowed by later wars like the American Revolution, but its legacy endures in the oral histories of Native communities and in the sparse, often biased accounts left by the English. That's the Pequot Massacre of 1637, a brutal stain on history brought to life for you. If you enjoyed this dive into the past, hit that like button, subscribe for more tales of evil, and ring the bell for notifications. Share your favorite historical horror story below, and we'll see you next time on Evil Walks Amongst Us. Imagine a quiet
And that's just show you just a little bit of what was going on. So we'll just pick up. Because that's just one of the wars. We're going to go into the let's start right here. Crazy, man. It's going to get worse.
Yeah. European and Spanish colonists and explorers. 1587 through 1649, John Winthrop. And then 1487 through 1506, Christopher Columbus. Freed by their victory, the brave colonists and their Indian allies attacked village after village. Women and children over 14 years of age were sold into slavery while the rest were murdered. Boats loaded slave ships, which as many as 500 slaves regularly left the ports of New England. Bounties were paid for Indian scalps to encourage as many deaths as possible.
He said encourage many deaths as possible. Go ahead.
Following an especially successful raid against the Pequot, the churches in Stamford, Connecticut, the churches announced a second day of Thanksgiving to celebrate victory over the Native Indians. During the feasting, they hacked off heads of the natives, were kicked through the streets. Thus, the game of soccer was born.
So now, and it's crazy because a lot of our people play soccer. You know, a lot of our natives, a lot of our people, South America,
yeah.
right? Hey, we don't even realize that. Really, we're just playing a game that basically they killed our ancestors, cut their head off, and used it as a ball of performance, right? As entertainment, right? Keep going.
Like balls, even the friendly Wampanoag didn't escape the madness.
Right.
Their chief was beheaded and his head impaled on a pole, Plymouth, Massachusetts, where it remained on display for 24 years.
Yep, and I read that, right? So we're gonna get a little bit into the Wampanoag.
That's crazy.
Right, here we go. So it says a few things you probably didn't know about Thanksgiving. When the Mayflower Pilgrims and the Wampanoag sat down for the first Thanksgiving in 1621, it wasn't actually that big of a deal. Likely, it was just a routine English harvest celebration. More significant, let me make sure I got this. Right. It says when the Mayflower Pilgrims and the Wampanoag sat down for the first Thanksgiving in 1621, it wasn't actually that big of a deal. Right. It says likely it was just a routine English harvest celebration. More significant and less remembered was the peace treaty that the parties established 7 months earlier, which lasted for 50 years. It says there was in fact very little historical records of the first Thanksgiving, which is why Thanksgiving wasn't really celebrated as a holiday into the 19th century, says Charles C. Mann of 1491, Revelations of the Americas Before Columbus. And I got that book. I know, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, we're not going to probably get a chance to get into that. Maybe I might get into that, you know, some other time. It says to historians, it seems kind of funny that the celebration now seems more important than the treaty itself. It says President Abraham Lincoln established Thanksgiving as a national holiday during the Civil War, and the feast has since become an American tradition. Yet the story of the Wampanoag and the Pilgrims who first broke bread is not commonly known. It said it wasn't actually a Thanksgiving. In 1841, Boston publisher Alexander Young printed a book containing a letter by Pilgrim Edward Winslow, which described the feast. Our harvest being gotten in, our government sent 4 men on fowling, that so we might after a more special manner rejoice together. There were many of the Indians coming amongst us, and among the rest, their greatest king, Massasoit, with some 90 men, who from 3 days were entertained and feasted. It says among 17th century pilgrims, a Thanksgiving was actually a period of prayerful fasting, and Winslow did not use the word anywhere in his letter. But when Young published the letter, he called it the first Thanksgiving in a footnote, and the name stuck. It says a year before the first Thanksgiving, the Pilgrims raided Native American graves. It says when the Pilgrims arrived in Cape Cod, they were incredibly unprepared. They were under the persistent belief that because New England was south of the Netherlands and southern England, it would therefore be warmer, says Mann. Then they showed up 6 weeks before the winter with practically no food. It said in desperate state, the Pilgrims robbed corn from Native Americans' graves and storehouses. See, and then they wonder why the Native Americans were attacking them. Hey, if you come and somebody is raiding your storehouse and you know it's the winter and you trying to feed your family, you know that you can't grow from that winter period to spring. You already done budgeted how much you need to eat, how much your family and your tribe and your community needed for everybody to get through that winter. But then you got an unknown nation of people coming and raiding basically your refrigerator and your storehouses. What you gonna do?
Retaliate, bro.
You're gonna retaliate. It says the Pilgrims robbed corn from Native Americans' graves and storehouses soon after they arrived, but because of their overall lack of preparation, half of them still died within their first year. To learn how to farm sustainably, they eventually required help from the Tisquantum and English-speaking Native American who had been staying with the Wampanoag, right? The Pilgrims could only settle at Plymouth because thousands of Native Americans, including many Wampanoag, have been killed by disease. So the only reason why they allowed them to stay was because a lot of them had already been decimated by the smallpox disease and different other diseases because they were filthy and nasty. So if the Pilgrims had arrived in Cape Cod 3 years earlier, they might not have found those abandoned graves and storehouses. In fact, they might not have had space to land. It says, right, and we're going to go ahead and let this play real quick. So Europeans that sailed to New England in the early to mid 1610s found flourishing communities along the coast and little room for themselves to settle. But in 1620, when the Mayflower arrived, the area looked abandoned. Right, so we'll let this play.
For now, we wish to convey only gratitude. Gratitude for your friendship. Gratitude for our collective health. Gratitude for what all parties have overcome. We're making a story about the Mayflower and the Pilgrims, but we're also making a story about Thanksgiving.
This story hopefully will illuminate the complexity of the time. I mean, it will be nice to see a vibrant palette of the story. And I think that's what everybody's aiming for.
We're very excited. Today is Thanksgiving on the set. Within Native American tradition, this idea of Thanksgiving isn't just once a year. It's something that should be done every day. We should be reminded by the holiday of that importance to be thankful for all that we have.
Effectively, our pilgrims have been here for just under a year at this stage, and they have done an awful lot in just under a year. Quite a surprising amount of work has gone on, and they have planted and they have grown their own crops by this stage. They weren't so hot on turkey. They didn't really have what you have today. So we have a real combination of wildfowl, venison, loads of fish, a lot of meat. They were really into meat. Things that were plentiful here and not necessarily the things that are traditional today. They had sort of knives and spoons, not forks yet. Nobody ate with that. So they kind of spear their food and eat with a spoon and eat with bread as well. I wanted it to look like they had got to a point where they were very proud of what they had, and everything is very mismatching. But we're in that rustic world, and I like that. And that's what I like about what we're doing.
Strange thing, to live amongst others and yet feel so alone.
But not today.
No, not today. Yes, Thanksgiving meal is amazing when they finally do come upon their harvest time and they all sit with the Native Americans and they all share in a feast and rejoice in their community. But what's amazing is how they can be thankful when they don't have that. That's really what the Thanksgiving is about. I mean, these people arrived on shore with nothing. They landed in winter and they slept in the cold. They were cold all the time. They couldn't make a fist. They were so cold. And they had nothing to eat. And they were thankful. And it's something that I don't think I would ever achieve, but it's something I can admire.
Right, and the thing that I love about it is like, because we're a loving people, so our people took them in even though they were decimated by tons and tons of people. Right, it says Europeans who sailed to New England in the early to mid 1610s found flourishing communities along the coast and little room for themselves to settle. By 1620, when the Mayflower arrived, the area looked abandoned. A couple of years before, there had been an epidemic that wiped out most of the coastal population of New England, and Plymouth was on top of village that had been deserted by disease. Says, man, the Pilgrims didn't know it, but they were moving into a cemetery, he adds. So they didn't even realize that just 10 years prior, a decade prior, they had been decimated due to the Puritans coming in. Said the peace that led to the first Thanksgiving was driven by trade and tribal rivalries. Before the Wampanoag suffered losses from disease, they had driven Europeans like John Smith away. Now it says, man, the Wampanoag were much weaker because of the disease, and they're much weaker than their hated adversaries, the Narragansett, and Macmillan curator, the National Museum of the American Indian, says that the Wampanoag were necessarily looking to make alliances against the Narragansett, but because the Wampanoag were in a slightly weakened position, they realized that the alliance with the Pilgrims could fortify their strength, right? It says the Europeans were valuable trading partners of the Wampanoag and their Native Americans in the area because they traded steel knives and axes for beaver pelts, something that in the beaver-rich New England area, the Wampanoag considered essentially worthless. So there's so many beavers that they are like, look, we can get these furs for y'all, and y'all get some of the things we needed because they didn't have the manpower. It says it's a little like somebody comes to your door and says, I'll give you gold if you give me a rock. Man says, the Wampanoag thought if we tie ourselves to these guys, everybody else will be hesitant to attack us because they could drive away these people who are willing to pay gold for rocks. So hey, we're just showing you what the Wampanoag mindset was in bringing these devils in. But little did they know that these devils had a whole nother mindset, right? So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. There's just so much wickedness, man. Right? I'm gonna put the book down. I'm gonna go to one more source I got, right? And it's entitled The True Dark History of Thanksgiving, right? And this is going into the Potawatomi, right? Right? So it says The True Dark History of Thanksgiving, right? It says, although many Potawatomi and other across the United States celebrate Thanksgiving, the factual history behind the holiday is something to be less thankful for, right? So it's letting you know that, hey, everybody that's a Native American, they're not thankful for this day. It says, while communing with the loved ones and showing appreciation for the bounties and gifts provided is one positive aspect of the national holiday, teaching a false narrative of its beginning perpetuates colonialism and ignores more than 400 years of atrocities committed against the Native Americans and First Nations people, right? So, the atrocities that was committed, right, was just crazy. It says it just disregards the centuries of brutality against Native Americans and chooses to take this one tiny snapshot in the world of social media. It puts all the pretty filters on it that it doesn't look the way it truly did. It says Dr. Kelly Mosteller, Citizen Potawatomi Nation's Cultural Heritage Center Director. According to an article published in the New York Times by Maya Salam in 2017, Thanksgiving facts and Thanksgiving myths have blended together for years like so much gravy and mashed potatoes, and separated them is just as complicated, right? So the separating was just as complicated. The formation of Thanksgiving as an official United States holiday did not begin until November 1863 during the Civil War. President Abraham Lincoln officially established the holiday as a way to just a way to improve relations between northern and southern states, as well as the United States and tribal nations. Just as a year prior, a mass execution took place of Dakota tribal members, corrupt federal agents kept the Dakota Sioux from receiving food and provisions. Finally, at the brink of death from starvation, members of the tribe fought back, resulting in the Dakota War of 1862. In the end, President Lincoln ordered 38 Dakota men to die from hanging and felt that Thanksgiving offered an opportunity to bridge the hard feelings amongst natives and the federal government. So, hey, that's crazy, right? So let's get into that Dakota. That's crazy. The Dakota War of 1862, man. It's crazy, man. These are the things they don't tell you. Right? So the Dakota War of 1862 was a 6-week armed conflict between the United States and the Dakota people in Minnesota, triggered by starvation, broken treaties, and settler encroachment, right? Right? They pull that in song. You already know what I want.
The book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 20.
Let me get there. Right, because it's crazy, man. It's all these broken treaties, man, and it's literally all scriptures, man. $55 and what, 20?
Book of Psalms, chapter 55, and verse 20, and it reads, He has put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He has broken his covenant.
So America had all kind of treaties with the Native Americans, right? Like, I think it was over 55 or so. Well, go ahead, King.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
Right, because they said we come in peace. We're going to have a Thanksgiving dinner. We're going to bring our two nations together, right? And we only just want a piece of land, and just show us how to do this. Right, but watch this.
But war was in his heart.
Because it literally said that they didn't have no facts that when that guy got killed, that it was the Native Americans. Right? It could have been conflict between the Puritans and the Pilgrims. Right? But go ahead.
His words were smoother than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Right? Hey. So it's like, hey, they were drawing swords. They were literally taking over lands that were not theirs, man. Right? So let's get back to this. This right here. Where was that? Oh yeah, the Dakotas. It says the conflict arose after decades of pressure on the Dakota to cede land to the United States through the treaties. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Right? It says through the treaties of Traverse, Des Sioux, and Mendota in 1851, which moved the Dakota into narrow reservations along the Minnesota River, often with supplies and annuities delayed or misappropriated. So it literally said that they told them, look, we know that we made a treaty, we made a pact, y'all got this area, but we're going to move you over here, and in turn we're going to give you provisions to hold you over it till you can reset up and re-get your crops done. But they took their crops. They had to leave their crops, right? It says by 1861, harsh winter conditions, crop failures, depleted game, and withhold or delayed government payments. So we want to say that the Native Americans got it so good. No, they delayed their payments, which means it would probably be times where they didn't even get paid, period. Right? Hey, let's go to Deuteronomy real quick. Right? Because that's crazy. 28. Real quick. Deuteronomy 28 and 44. Right, real quick. Let me get there. Cause hey, this is all scriptural, man, and it goes back to the curses. It's crazy, man. Let's go. Let's start verse 43.
Deuteronomy 20 and 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
Right? So, hey, they came in low. They came in just like, look, we just want to come over here. We ain't got provisions. They almost died in that first winter. They took them in. They gave them food. They gave them provisions, taught them how to hunt, how to fish, how to plant, right? He said, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high. And what?
And thou shalt come down very low.
Because they done killed them with smallpox, right? Hunted them, shooting them, and burnt the Peacock housing, right? And Winnipeg, and killed Winnewagon, what is it? Let me see, let me get it real quick. The Wampanoag, the Wampa. Let me see this right here. It's the Wampa son. The Wampanoag, the Wampanoag, right? The Wampanoag, right? So the Wampanoag came and just destroyed them, right? Keep going, King.
Verse 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him.
Right?
He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
And you should be the tail. So now ain't you the tail. Now he's lending to you. But this is your land. This is your place. And now all of a sudden, right? Now it's over for that, man. Right, so real quick. It says, harsh winter conditions, crop failures, the depleted game, and withheld or delayed government payments intensified the Dakotas' desperation. Traders' refusal to extend credit further than aggregated tensions, right? So they wanted them to give them more credit. Like, we know we ain't gave you the money, but just give us more credit. We're going to come through. So the situation worsened with the rise of white settlements. So they're saying that they sold more and more of their land. It says, which disrupted the Dakotas' traditional hunting and agricultural practices. They're building everywhere and they shooting their game too. Mm-hmm. So now it ain't enough food for everybody. So what do you think is going to happen? Right. August 17, 1862, after a confrontation over food and resources, 4 young Dakota men killed 5 settlers near Acton, Minnesota. The incident precipitated a council where some Dakota leaders, including Little Crow, reluctantly agreed to begin hostilities to resist further encroachment and starvation. At dawn on August 18th, Dakota warriors launched attacks on the Lower Sioux, Redwood, Agency, and surrounding settlements, killing traders and settlers and taking hostages. Right? During the following weeks, Dakota forces attacked multiple settlements, including New Ulm, Fort Ridgely. While peaceful Dakotas tried to protect civilians, the U.S. response was hampered by the Civil War, but Governor Alexander Ramsey appointed Colonel Henry Hastings Sibley, who mustered military and voluntary infantry from Fort Snelling to counter the Dakota attacks, man. So, hey, the aftermath. Following the surrender at Camp Release on September 26, 1862, approximately 2,000 Dakota, including non-combatants and those who opposed the war, were taken into custody. A military commission swiftly tried 392 Dakota men, sentencing 303 to death. After President Abraham Lincoln's review, 38 men were hanged in Mankato in December 26, 1862, in the large single-day massive execution in history. Subsequently, the U.S. government revoked treaties with the Dakota, abolished reservations, and forcibly removed survivors to Crow Creek, present-day South Dakota, and other areas, causing further suffering and deaths from disease and hardship. Right? So, hey, it's just letting you know, man, that, hey, beyond a shadow of a doubt, there was a lot of stuff that happened that was crazy. Right? So we're going to read this last little bit, and then we're going to end it off there. It said, it was propaganda. Dr. Mosteller explained it was to try and build this event so that you could have a deeper narrative about community building and coming together and share brotherhood and unity. While the Thanksgiving celebrated today may not have complete factual roots, Native Americans, Europeans, and other cultures across the world have held festivities and special meals in gratitude for bountiful harvest and to reflect on the past year. Many across Indian country continue these traditions by simply sharing a meal with friends and loved ones without referencing it as a true Thanksgiving. A lot of people don't acknowledge it as a Thanksgiving. They say, I'm going to get together with family and it's going to be about sharing the meals, but we're not going to acknowledge the Mayflower and the Pilgrims because it's holding up its false moment of friendship and completely disregards the genocide and mass land theft and the brutality that all Native peoples experienced, Dr. Mosteller said. Plymouth and Pilgrims. Textbooks often indicate the Pilgrims settled in Plymouth, Massachusetts because the harsh winter was approaching or a storm sent them off course from their original Virginia destination. Winter's onset could not have been the reason. However, for the weather would be much milder in the Virginia than Massachusetts. Moreover, the Pilgrims spent 6 full weeks until December 26 scouting around Cape Cod looking for the best spot. Lowen wrote in Lies My Teachers Told Me, the Dutch possibly bribed the Mayflower's captain to sail north, a good distance from New Amsterdam in present-day New York. Some historians believe their arrival in Cape Cod was purposeful. Historian George Williamson was argued that the Pilgrims' leaders wanted to be far from Anglican control, right? The Anglo-Saxons, right? Control. Never planned to settle in Virginia. Lowen continued. They had debated the relative merits of Guinea in South America versus the Massachusetts coast, right? And that's New Guinea, right? And according to Williamson, and intended a hijacking. Certainly, the Pilgrims also knew quite a bit about the Massachusetts, about what Massachusetts could offer them, from the fine fishing along Cape Cod to that wonderful plague, which offered an unusual opportunity for English settlement. Disease. Prior to European arrival, America's indigenous did not experience illnesses attributed to livestock, overcrowding, or poor hygiene. So it's letting you know that they had very poor hygiene. Residents of Northern Europe and England rarely bathed, believing in unhealthy, and rarely removed all of their clothing at one time, believing it immodest. Lowen wrote in Lies My Teachers Told Me, the Pilgrims smelled bad to the Indians. Squanto tried without success to teach them to bathe, according to Feeney Ziner, his biographer. In fact, 3 years before the Pilgrims landed, English and French fishermen transmitted diseases to tribes as they came ashore to find fresh water, firewood, and capture Native Americans for slave trades. Within 3 years, the plague wiped out between 90 to 96% of the inhabitants of coastal New England. Native societies were devastated. Only the 20th persons as scarce left alive, right? Robert Cushman, an English eyewitness, recording a death rate unknown to all previous human experience. Lowen wrote, those who did survive left their communities to join others bringing the illness along with them. This caused many Native Americans to perish, even though they had not encountered Europeans. So it's literally letting you know that even though a lot of our Native American baby brothers and sisters didn't even encounter the Europeans, they still perished. Right? It says this caused many Native Americans to perish, even though they had not encountered Europeans. Once the Pilgrims had arrived in 1620, the epidemics across the Indian country were far from over. Throughout history, religions have served as a means of justification, and for the English separatists, it was no different. It was no different. They believed that the widespread death and devastation of Native Americans due to disease was divine providence that Yahweh willed them to take over the land. And we know that it was literally the Most High, bringing judgment on our brothers and sisters. Right. Because it said we came over here to keep laws that we never kept in our other land. Right. It says by the time that the native populations of England had replenished themselves to some degree, it was too late to expel the intruders. If colonists had not been able to occupy lands already cleared by Indian farmers who had been banished, colonization would have proceeded much more slowly. If Indian culture had not been devastated by the physical and psychological assaults it has suffered, colonization might not have proceeded at all. Lowen wrote, Squanto, Tasquantum, and the Wampanoag. The story of Quanto, a member of the Wampanoag tribe, is much less innocent than the narrative that he assisted the Pilgrims with teaching them how to grow crops and take advantage of Northern American bounties. 6 years before the Mayflower arrived in present-day Massachusetts, a slave trader captured Squanto, Tasquantum, and a group of Native Americans with help from the Catholic Church. Not your innocent Catholics, right? Quantum escaped and found his way to England, where he learned English. He eventually returned to North America in 1619. While Quantum was overseas, New England indigenous experienced a momentum death rate with some communities, losing nearly every tribal member to the decimating effects of European diseases. Upon return to North America in his village, Patuxet, Tisquantum found only piles of bones and of his fellow tribesmen killed by the plagues. He realized he was the sole survivor of his village. The illness spread so quickly that many local tribes never had time to bury their dead, and that was going back to Nahum. Right. When it said it was so many bodies, man. Right? It says when Tisquantum's village once thrived, the Pilgrims established Plymouth Plantation. It says during this time, the Wampanoag lost up to 75% of his people, while a nearby enemy tribe, the Narragansett, did not. Wampanoag leader Massasoit saw the Pilgrims as possible allies against the Narragansett. Due to his English-speaking abilities, Massasoit used Tisquantum as a translator, though the Wampanoag leader did not trust his fellow tribal member and held him as a prisoner. Rather than continue a life of servitude to Massasoit, Tisquantum established himself as a key resource to the Pilgrims, teaching them how to survive. All right, so we're going to end it right there, man. Right? We're going to end it right there. And we're going to and go ahead and bring out the precepts, King. And we're going to furthermore, show you, right? All praise to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And Brother Jeremiah said Abraham made Thanksgiving a national holiday in the 1800s, but he so-called loved our people. That's nasty work, man. Shalom, brother. All right, go ahead, King. What you want?
Let me get Sirach chapter 6, verse 13. Uh, so, 12 and 10. Classics.
All right. Well,
Chirac 6 and 13.
and this just to let our people know, man, what we're keeping. You know, to spread this video just to let your people know what they're keeping, because some people don't know. They think it's just a day of familyhood, man, and gratitude, man. Right? 6 and 1.
6 and 13.
Right? The book of Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 13. It says, separate thyself from thy enemies and take heed of thy friends.
So our people, even in that article you just read, right? It says something about where our families use this excuse to come together on Thanksgiving, which is family time. Well, we can't make no excuses because practically almost every job has days off. So you have to calculate and measure your days throughout the year. Like, you have children, they may be sick, you got to cater to them, you got to take care of them. You may have to take a day off. But for you to go out all year long, right, and using this as an excuse for this one particular day to bring your family to come together, because it cannot be that day only. That you can bring all family members, whatever job they work at, take one day off to come together, right? But yet they want to worship these other gods, and they don't even know the history of what we're going into right now of the historic history of the origin of Thanksgiving. You get what I'm saying? So let me get Sirach 12 and I think it's 13, 12 and 10. And I digress.
Book of Sirach, chapter 12, verse 10. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
So, hey, we gotta never trust our enemy. Separate from thy enemy. The enemy is keeping Thanksgiving. That's an enemy. It's many different enemies. You get what I'm saying? But they all come together to what? To blind our people from not knowing the truth. And they doing a great job, man, by hiding this history right here. Because this history is point on, like dead on. And a lot of people will read it. We'll tell them, look, if you don't believe me, do the history and look it up yourself. We got classes, we got lessons, sit downs, about an hour or two. You can sit down and do your research yourself, right? You think they want to go through all that? You think they want to take the time? Some of them do if they really care. But majority of them, no. They're going to keep using that excuse. No, Thanksgiving is the time to bring the family together because we don't see each other throughout the years. And that's the only time when everybody gets the day off.
Mm-hmm.
And are you okay?
Hey, and and it's crazy too, because this right here is crazy, man. Right? It's crazy because it said that Abraham Lincoln, right?
Mm-hmm.
It said, because we know he's freed the so-called freed the slave with the Civil War,
Mm-hmm. Right.
but at the same time he freed the slaves, he went up to Minnesota, right?
Mm-hmm.
And attacked the Indians up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
bring that out.
But it's crazy.
Theodore.
It's just crazy because it's crazy how that happened, but yet this. So at the same time they're having a civil war, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just crazy how this is, right? Yeah, so we got to get the precept. I just wanted to bring that out because how you having a civil war to free the blacks, but at the same time you're going up and having a war with another nation, which the Native Americans, because they know who we were. So you're freeing one, but you're kind of putting the other one in bondage, right? Yeah. Real quick. 50 and 33. And this is crazy because, you know, that just brought me to that. I just thought about that, right? Like, man, he so-called let the blacks go, but then you got him going to war with the Native Americans. And then it even said that they was taking a lot of Native Americans into captivity. So this is even showing you even furthermore how the Native Americans and the so-called blacks are definitely, you know, linked together, right? Start at verse 31.
All right. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50.
Start at verse 30.
Verse 30. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, and verse 30. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets.
And we know these happened to the so-called blacks and it's happened to the so-called Native Americans, right? He said the young men are gonna fall in the streets. The young men are falling in the streets now.
Right.
Even Issachar. Right? Go ahead, King.
And all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord.
Hey, because the so-called blacks, same thing happened. We just read that with the Native American, the Pequot and the Wampanoag, right? And then the ones that happened up there in the Dakotas, right? Go ahead, King.
Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud,
right?
Saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. For thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee.
Right.
And the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall rise him up. And I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all around about him.
Right, because the Most High telling you because we sinned and we fell short, we didn't keep his commandments, right? Hey, he was going to make all our warriors, all of our young ones, right? All of our old ones, everybody was going to perish, man. The cities were going to be in fire right about. We just found that out with the Pequot. The Pequot tribe, right? Didn't they just say that they burned like 70 to 100 huts, and everybody that came out of them, they shot them. They kindled a fire in the cities, brother. Who is he talking about, brother? But they talking about, hey, the Native Americans ain't part of the curses.
Sure.
Read 32 again, man.
Verse 32. And the most proud shall stumble and fall.
You shall stumble and fall, and what?
And none shall rise him up.
Right, because it said everybody that did make it out of the fire and didn't get shot and killed, it said they took them to slavery, didn't it?
Sure did.
You stumble and fell, and nobody gonna rise you up. Go ahead.
And I will kindle a fire in his city.
Did the Pequot get their fire kindled in their cities? Kind of look like they got it fired in their cities, and what?
And it shall devour all round about him.
Right, because I guarantee you we can go into other cities and other tribes that went through the same thing, brother. It wasn't just the Pequot, right? Go ahead.
Verse 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts.
Right.
The children of Israel.
Right, that's the northern kingdom.
And the children of Judah.
Which is the southern kingdom, what?
Were oppressed together.
Go ahead.
And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
And that's this right here, man. They know who we are, man.
To this day.
They know.
That's Jake all the way.
Look at that, man. And how fitting is it that the Tazawam Southern Kingdom is on the right side with her. So we got the right, you know, so-called black, and I'm Northern Kingdom on the left side.
Right.
Hey, that's crazy, man.
That's all crazy.
This is just spiritual, man.
That is very spiritual.
You know what I'm saying? You got these guys, Hope Collier, right? And our people glorifying him. You got the Eve back here happy,
right?
Because of her oppressor. Come on, man.
Yo, you can't make this up, bro.
Look at that, man.
Man,
our people over here is holding Lincoln up high. He says, forward, right? With malice, forward none, with charity for all. But look, our people on their knees, though, worshiping him.
Worship, yeah. Yep.
You got Theodore Roosevelt with this damn, this guy.
Yeah, man. The first time you showed me this picture, bro, speaks so many volumes, bro.
So many volumes, man. So with that being said, man, hey, we hope that y'all got a little understanding out this lesson. Hey, go and research it. I gave you all of my sites, all my sources. And and it was fair use for the whole video.
That's right.
So getting all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. I pray that you get some understanding on the real understanding. Is Thanksgiving origins the same as you learned? Because I didn't learn this in school.
No, neither.
Most High didn't give me this until I got in the truth, right?
Right, gang.
So hey, with that being said, give me St. John chapter 8 and verse 32 real quick. We ended on one of my favorite precepts of all time.
This is the book of St. John, chapter 8, and verse 32.
Let me get there real quick. So, hey, I just want them to see it too. Right, hey. Praise to the Most High, man. One of my favorite precepts, man. Once you know, you can't say the Most High didn't wake you up to it. Then you're gonna be held accountable for it. Right, King?
And ye shall know the truth.
No, I can eat turkey on Thanksgiving.
And ye shall know the truth.
No, I love the pies and all the cranberry sauce.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Because hey, let me see if I can find it real quick. If not, right? Because really, the literally it's crazy because like the stuffing is supposed to be like the guts. The turkey is supposed to be like the bodies and cranberry sauce if I can get them to put up. Because I don't know where I have found it at before. You know, you gotta kind of if I can't find it. I'm out there. That might be another day.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, and my name is here you go, you got it.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and 9.
Oh, that's a great precept.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you start at 7, yeah. Yep. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 7, and reads, Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. Verse 8, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So when the brother pull out Jeremiah, was it 50 and 33?
Yeah.
To be showing us that it's evidence, it's proven that Judah and Israel were pressed together. So you have a lot of Judites, southern tribe, that believe that northern tribe is not our people. You got northern tribe believing that Judah is not our southern. So there goes the Most High said we were oppressed together, and to this same day, right now. So we gotta understand, who is Jacob? What is his lot? How many kids he had? What's their characteristic? You can read that in Genesis 49. Their behavior, how they operate. You get what I'm saying? And those people are here on the earth right now. We gotta get around and start realizing what is the truth. That's why the brother brought out John 8:32. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So by you continuing on worshiping and keeping killing, that is not the Most High God's portion. It is not. It's not even here. So with all that, I digress. All praises to Yahweh B'Hashem. HaMashiach Malach Yahushua.
My name is Ariah.
My name is Atazawan.
And we pray that y'all have a great lesson. Hey, and get rid of this out your mind. No more turkey on your fork.
No more.
No more stuffing on your fork.
No more.
No more cranberry on your fork.
No more.
And the hell with these pies, man. My name is Ariah.
Brother Atazawan.
And this
he's building. And he's not stuffing his face with the stuffing and candy yams, the turkey, all that. It's gotta go.
Gotta go.
Gotta put all that idolatry away.
Shalom.
Shalom. Come here, Shalom.
Come here, Shalom.
Come here, Shalom.
Come here, Shalom.
Come here, Shalom.